The command bridge of the Galactic Union flagship, Aurelian Spear, was a masterpiece of precision and efficiency. The air hummed with the low vibration of alien machinery, and holographic displays cast a faint blue glow across the room. At its center stood Commander Zalter, a towering figure with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that glimmered with an eerie, intelligent light. His demeanor was cold, calculating, exactly what was expected of the leader tasked with maintaining order across a fractious galaxy. Yet, beneath his stoic exterior, a faint unease stirred. Zalter stared at the tactical display hovering before him, its surface alive with projections of Earth, the so-called cradle of humanity. The planet revolved slowly in the void, its azure oceans and green continents deceptively serene. Zalter's gaze narrowed as his mind replayed the arguments from the Galactic Council. The Varlaxians, a zealous faction known for their hunger for dominance, had painted Earth as a burgeoning threat. Their evidence was compelling but incomplete. Intercepted transmissions filled with scenes of war, devastation, and most perplexingly, acts of extraordinary defiance. This planet, one Varlaxian ambassador had declared with venomous conviction, is a powder keg waiting to explode. Their history is nothing but conquest and destruction. If they ever rise beyond their current technology, they will challenge the Union itself. It was not the first time a primitive world had been labeled dangerous, nor the first time the Union had preemptively subdued such a world. Yet Zalter had hesitated. Humanity's broadcast, though chaotic, hinted at something unusual, a species capable of remarkable ingenuity, one that thrived in the face of adversity. However, the Council had voted overwhelmingly in favor of intervention, and Zalter, bound by duty, had no choice but to comply. The strike was intended to be surgical, a demonstration of power that would dismantle Earth's perceived military capabilities without annihilating its population. Zalter had deployed a stealth fleet to target key American infrastructure, missile silos, command centers, and communication hubs. The operation, as planned, would end before humanity even understood the scale of their opponent. The execution, however, was far from flawless. As the first orbital bombardments began, Zalter observed Earth's response with growing disquiet. Humanity did not crumble under the weight of superior technology. They adapted. Reports flooded in. Ballistic missiles were being redirected, communication networks rerouted, and crude but effective countermeasures deployed against the fleet's cloaking systems. Within hours, several stealth vessels had been critically damaged, their crews forced to retreat. "How?" Zalter muttered, his voice a low growl. He turned toward his tactical officer, a wiry, insectoid being whose mandibles clicked nervously. "Explain this resistance." "The humans are resourceful," the officer admitted reluctantly. "They're using methods we did not anticipate. It seems they have reverse-engineered fragments of our technology from earlier encounters." "Impossible," Zalter snapped. "Their understanding of advanced systems should be rudimentary at best." Another officer, a reptilian strategist with scales like burnished bronze, interjected. "Commander, they may lack our sophistication, but their creativity compensates for it. They improvise with a speed we've rarely seen." Zalter's jaw tightened. Improvisation was a hallmark of desperate species, those who clawed their way to survival through sheer will. It was also the trait that made them the most dangerous. He watched the tactical display as Earth's forces began to counterattack in earnest, their disorganized tactics strangely effective. Missiles rained toward Union vessels, some detonating harmlessly in the upper atmosphere, but others striking true, exploiting weaknesses in the Union's defenses that should have been imperceptible to such a primitive enemy. One report stood out. A small group of human cyber specialists had managed to infiltrate a Union communication relay, briefly disrupting the fleet's coordination. Though the breach was quickly contained, it sent a clear message. Humanity was not fighting blindly. The bridge was silent except for the steady hum of equipment. Zalter's mind raced, weighing his options. He had no intention of escalating the conflict. This was supposed to be a simple exercise in subjugation, not a protracted war. But humanity's resilience had turned a calculated operation into an unpredictable quagmire. A junior officer approached, her voice trembling as she delivered the latest report. "Commander, the humans have forced 3 of our vessels to retreat. Their forces are rallying around the eastern continent." Zalter studied the report, his expression unreadable. This was no mere show of defiance. It was a coordinated effort to push the Union back. The humans were learning, adapting faster than he thought possible. "Pull back the fleet," Zalter ordered finally. The officers exchanged stunned glances, but obeyed without question. As the display shifted to show the fleet withdrawing, Zalter folded his arms and stared at Earth. He had underestimated the species, just as the Council had. They were not the mindless warmongers the Varlaxians had portrayed. They were something far more complex. Humanity fought not just with weapons, but with an unyielding spirit, a refusal to be dominated that bordered on reckless insanity. "Commander," the reptilian strategist said hesitantly, "shall we prepare for a second strike?" "No," Zalter replied. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with an intensity that silenced further questions. "We will regroup and reassess. This conflict is not as straightforward as the Council imagined." As the fleet vanished into the cold expanse of space, Zalter remained on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the spinning blue orb. A part of him admired the humans, though he would never admit it. Their actions defied logic, yet there was a brutal elegance to their defiance, a testament to their sheer will to survive. For the first time in his long career, Zalter felt something he could not entirely suppress: doubt. The Council had deemed Earth a threat to galactic peace. But what if they had misunderstood the true nature of the species? What if humanity's defiance was not a sign of aggression, but of something deeper, something the Union had overlooked? As the holographic display dimmed, Zalter turned away, his mind already racing ahead. The humans would not be easily subdued, and this conflict would have far-reaching consequences. He would need to tread carefully, for he now understood a truth the Council had failed to grasp. Earth was no ordinary world, and humanity was no ordinary species. The commander's unease deepened as he left the bridge, his footsteps echoing through the silent corridors of the flagship. The war had only just begun, but already he could sense that it would be unlike any the Union had faced before. Humanity was not a threat to be extinguished. It was a force to be reckoned with. And Zalter, for all his experience, was uncertain whether the Union was prepared for what lay ahead. The skies above Earth burned with streaks of light as alien vessels retreated beyond the reach of human weaponry. The chaos on the ground was palpable. Emergency sirens wailed across cities, soldiers scrambled to regroup, and civilians huddled in shelters, their faces pale with fear and disbelief. Yet, amidst the confusion, there was no despair. For every strike the invaders had delivered, humanity had responded with a defiance that surprised even its leaders. General Evelyn Grant, commander of the United Earth Defense Coalition, stood amidst the controlled chaos of an underground command center in Colorado. A veteran of countless conflicts, she exuded a calm authority that steadied the room. Maps and holograms illuminated the space, depicting Earth's battered defenses and the alien fleet hovering just beyond the atmosphere. Evelyn's sharp eyes flicked over the reports pouring in, her mind processing the data with a precision honed through years of war. "Damage assessments," she demanded, her voice cutting through the cacophony. "Significant but not catastrophic," replied Lieutenant Amir Qureshi, her chief strategist. His tone carried a mixture of relief and disbelief. "They hit military installations and infrastructure hard, but we've already rerouted key systems. Civilian casualties are lower than expected. They underestimated our ability to adapt. They underestimated everything about us," Evelyn muttered, her gaze hardening. The first wave of the alien assault had been devastating, but humanity's survival instincts had kicked in almost immediately. Engineers worked around the clock to patch networks and restore power. Pilots took to the skies and patched together jets, using rudimentary guidance systems to target the enemy. Even hackers joined the fray, probing the invaders' systems with improvised code. Every citizen, soldier or civilian, had a role to play, and they embraced it with grim determination. "Ma'am," a communications officer called out, "we've intercepted another signal from the alien fleet. They're pulling back to regroup. It's buying us time." Evelyn allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. "Time we won't waste," she said. "Qureshi, get me the science team. I want updates on the reverse engineering project." In a secured laboratory far from the front lines, Dr. Elena Vargas, a leading physicist, was bent over a fragment of alien technology. The device pulsed faintly, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift under her scrutiny. She had barely slept since the first strike, her mind consumed by the challenge of understanding and repurposing the alien tech. "Elena," her assistant called, "we've isolated the energy signature. It's unlike anything we've seen, but I think we can replicate a crude version of it." Elena straightened, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. "Good. If we can harness their energy systems, we'll level the playing field. Keep working. Failure isn't an option." The lab buzzed with activity, mirroring the efforts across the globe. Humanity was doing what it did best, turning adversity into innovation. Reports came in of small victories. A downed alien vessel in Montana, its crew captured. A cyber attack that temporarily disrupted the invaders' coordination. Each success bolstered humanity's resolve, a reminder that the fight was far from over. On the other side of the planet, in a hidden bunker beneath the ruins of a bombed-out city, a group of resistance fighters prepared for a daring operation. Captain Marcus Reeves, a former Special Forces operative, crouched over a holographic map, outlining their mission. "We've got confirmation that the aliens are using a ground relay station to communicate with their fleet," he said, his voice steady despite the enormity of their task. "If we can take it out, or better yet, capture it, we'll disrupt their command structure and buy Earth more time." The team nodded grimly, their faces illuminated by the flickering map. Each member knew the risks, but none hesitated. This was a fight for survival, and they would give everything to ensure humanity's future. The assault on the relay station was swift and brutal. Alien defenses were formidable, but the humans fought with a ferocity that seemed almost reckless. Marcus led the charge, his movements precise and efficient. When the dust settled, the relay station was in human hands, its alien operators either dead or captured. "Get this equipment to Vargas," Marcus ordered, wiping sweat from his brow. "She'll know what to do with it." Back in the command center, Evelyn received the news with a grim smile. "Well done," she said. "But this is just the beginning. We've proven we can fight back, but we need more than victories. We need a strategy that forces them to reconsider this war." As the hours turned into days, humanity's resistance intensified. Guerrilla tactics, cyber warfare, and relentless innovation began to take their toll on the alien fleet. Commander Zolter watched the reports from the Aurelian Spear with growing frustration. Every move the Union made seemed to provoke an unpredictable countermeasure. The humans were not fighting by any rules he understood. They were improvising, adapting, and exploiting every weakness they could find. "Commander," his chief strategist said cautiously, "the humans have launched a counteroffensive. They've captured one of our relay stations and are using it to interfere with our communications." Zolter's jaw tightened. "This species, they are reckless to the point of madness." "Reckless, perhaps," the strategist replied, "but effective. We must either escalate or withdraw." Zolter considered the suggestion, his mind a storm of conflicting thoughts. Escalation would mean devastation on a scale he had hoped to avoid, but withdrawal would be seen as weakness, a betrayal of the Union's authority. As he deliberated, another report came in. Human forces had managed to disable one of the Union's lesser outposts, using scavenged alien technology to bypass its defenses. The operation was daring, dangerous, and utterly unexpected. Zolter's unease deepened. Humanity's defiance was not just a reaction to survival. It was a statement. They would not be conquered, not through force or intimidation. On Earth, Evelyn stood before her gathered officers, her voice ringing with determination. "We've shown them what we're capable of. Now we need to push harder. This isn't just about survival. It's about proving that humanity will not bow to any force, no matter how advanced." Across the room, Dr. Vargas entered, her face lit with triumph. "We've done it," she announced. "We've adapted their energy systems into our weapons. It's crude, but it'll work." Evelyn nodded. "Good, because this war isn't over. Not by a long shot." As plans were laid for the next phase of the counteroffensive, the air buzzed with a mixture of determination and defiance. The invaders had come expecting submission, but what they found was a species that thrived on adversity, a species that refused to be broken. Humanity was fighting back, and it would not stop until the skies were clear once more. The Galactic Union's flagship Aurelian Spear drifted silently in the void above Earth, its imposing hull reflecting the distant light of the stars. Within its command chamber, Commander Zalter stood rigid, his arms clasped behind his back, as he watched the latest battle reports flicker across the holographic displays. The humans' resistance had escalated beyond anything the Union had anticipated. What was intended as a swift operation to neutralize a potential threat had devolved into an unpredictable conflict. "They've adapted their own weapons using fragments of our technology," his chief strategist reported, his voice strained. "Their countermeasures grow more effective with each engagement. Our losses are no longer negligible." Zalter's obsidian-like skin rippled faintly, a sign of the turmoil beneath his composed exterior. The humans' defiance was unlike anything he had encountered in his long career. They fought with an intensity that defied logic, improvising solutions to problems that should have been insurmountable. "How much longer before the fleet is fully compromised?" Zalter asked, his voice low but cutting. "At their current pace?" The strategist hesitated. "Weeks, perhaps less. Their ingenuity is proving more dangerous than their technology." Zalter turned away from the display, his thoughts churning. The Council had not foreseen this. They had voted for swift action based on flawed intelligence, dismissing humanity as another primitive species unworthy of serious consideration. Yet here they were, forcing one of the galaxy's most powerful fleets into a defensive stance. He thought of the intercepted human transmissions, speeches, battlefield footage, moments of unity in the face of devastation. There was a raw determination in their voices, a refusal to surrender that bordered on madness. And yet, Zalter found himself unwillingly drawn to their resolve. "Commander," an officer interrupted, drawing his attention. "We've received a communication from the humans. They're requesting a ceasefire and proposing negotiations." Zalter's eyes narrowed. A ceasefire? It was a logical step, but the timing was curious. Humanity had clawed its way to parity, but they had not yet achieved dominance. This was not the plea of a defeated species. It was something else entirely. "Put it through," Zalter ordered. The main display shifted, and a human figure appeared, their image grainy but unmistakably resolute. It was General Evelyn Grant, her sharp gaze piercing through the transmission. Behind her, the command center hummed with activity, its operators focused but tense. "Commander Zalter," she began, her tone steady. "I am General Grant of the United Earth Defense Coalition. You came to our planet without warning, attacked our people, and underestimated our will to fight. Now you know who we are." Zalter studied her, his expression unreadable. She radiated confidence, but there was no arrogance in her tone, only the calm authority of a leader who had earned her position. "You fight well, General," Zalter acknowledged after a pause. "Few have challenged the Union so effectively. Yet your position remains tenuous. Why propose negotiations now?" Grant's lips pressed into a thin line. "Because this war serves neither of us. You came here to neutralize a perceived threat, but all you've done is provoke us into becoming the very thing you feared. Humanity doesn't want war, but we won't bow to aggression. Let's end this before we both lose more than we can afford." Zalter tilted his head, considering her words. Her argument was compelling, but he knew there was more to it. Humans were cunning, as much tacticians as warriors. They would not propose peace unless they believed it could be used to their advantage. "What terms do you propose, General?" Grant's expression softened slightly, though her posture remained firm. "A mutual ceasefire. Both sides pull back their forces. In return, we share what we've learned about each other. Knowledge instead of destruction." Zoltar's officers exchanged uneasy glances, their unease palpable. This was unprecedented. Never had a primitive species forced the Union into negotiations, let alone on terms that implied equality. "Do you truly believe your species is prepared for galactic integration?" Zoltar asked, his tone measured. "You've demonstrated resilience, yes, but resilience alone is not enough to survive among the stars." "We've demonstrated more than resilience," Grant replied. "We've demonstrated our capacity to learn, to adapt, and to overcome. Give us the chance to prove ourselves on equal footing. If we fail, the galaxy will judge us accordingly. But we won't fail." Zoltar felt a flicker of something unfamiliar: respect. For all their flaws, these humans possessed a strength of spirit that was difficult to ignore. Yet the decision was not his alone. The Union's protocols demanded that such matters be brought before the Council. And while he could already anticipate the political infighting such a proposal would ignite, the alternative was continued conflict, with no guarantee of victory. "I will consider your proposal," Zoltar said finally. "But know this, General. The Union does not tolerate weakness. If you falter, if you misuse the knowledge we provide, the consequences will be severe." Grant nodded, unflinching. "We'll take that risk. Humanity isn't afraid of a challenge, Commander." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Zoltar stared at the empty screen, his mind racing. The humans had forced his hand, proving themselves far more than the Council had assumed. They were not merely survivors. They were contenders. As he turned to his officers, Zoltar issued his orders with calm authority. "Prepare the fleet for a temporary withdrawal. Inform the Council of the ceasefire and summon the ambassadors. We will convene with the humans in neutral space." The officers hesitated, but none dared to argue. They could see what Zoltar already understood. This was not a defeat. It was an opportunity, a chance to rewrite the rules of engagement with a species unlike any they had encountered before. Back on Earth, Grant exhaled as the transmission ended. Around her, the command center erupted into quiet celebration, but she remained focused. This was only the beginning. Humanity had earned a seat at the table, but the battle for their future was far from over. In the void between worlds, the stage was set for a meeting that would define the fate of two civilizations. Zoltar knew the Council would demand justification for his actions, just as Grant knew humanity's unity was fragile, held together by the strain of war. Both leaders carried the weight of their people's expectations, knowing the decisions they made in the days ahead would shape their destinies. For now, there was quiet, a fragile peace held together by mutual respect and unspoken tension. But Zoltar could not shake the feeling that humanity was far from finished surprising him. And for the first time in his career, he wondered if the galaxy was ready for what came next. The vast, gleaming halls of the orbital station shimmered with an unnatural light, their smooth, metallic surfaces stretching endlessly in every direction. This was neutral ground, a relic of an ancient civilization long extinguished. It had been chosen as the meeting place, a setting to ensure neither side felt at an advantage. But as Evelyn Grant stepped onto the platform, her boots clinking against the polished floor, she couldn't shake the weight of the moment. Surrounded by a contingent of Earth's finest, her delegation represented humanity's first step onto the galactic stage. Soldiers and scientists flanked her, their expressions a mixture of awe and determination. Behind them, the human-crafted transport vessel floated silently, dwarfed by the alien vessels stationed nearby. Evelyn straightened her shoulders, pushing aside the enormity of it all. They couldn't afford to appear overawed. Not now. Across the chamber, Commander Zolter waited. His imposing form was statuesque, his dark, shimmering skin catching the station's light and refracting it like liquid obsidian. Beside him stood members of the Galactic Union delegation. Their various shapes and forms an amalgamation of otherworldly life. Some towered with spindly limbs. Others floated as amorphous beings contained in translucent shells. They were a stark reminder of how far Earth was from its neighbors. Evelyn approached, her steps measured but firm. Zolter inclined his head slightly, a gesture that might have been respect or merely acknowledgement. The room was silent save for the faint hum of the station's power systems, an ambient noise that seemed to amplify the tension hanging in the air. "General Grant," Zolter said, his voice resonant and calm. "Welcome to the Forum." "Commander Zolter," she replied, meeting his gaze with unwavering resolve. "We appreciate the opportunity to meet under these terms. An opportunity born of necessity," he countered, though there was no malice in his tone. "Your species has proven unorthodox. The Union has taken notice." Evelyn allowed herself a faint smile. "Unorthodox might be the nicest thing anyone's called us this week." There was a flicker of something in Zolter's expression. Amusement, perhaps, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. He gestured toward a circular table at the center of the chamber. "Shall we begin?" The two delegations took their seats, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. Evelyn glanced at her team, nodding subtly as they activated their recording devices and prepared to present their findings. Zolter's delegates mirrored their actions, their alien apparatuses glowing faintly. "This war has tested both our species," Evelyn began, her voice steady. "But it's clear we've reached a crossroads. Continued conflict will only lead to further devastation. What we propose is a framework for coexistence, a foundation for peace." "And what would this foundation entail?" one of Zolter's delegates asked, their voice high and sharp, like wind through hollow reeds. "Mutual knowledge," Evelyn said, leaning forward. "We share what we've learned about technology, about strategy, and about each other. Humanity may lack the resources and experience of the Galactic Union, but we bring innovation and adaptability. Together, we can create something stronger than either of us alone." A murmur rippled through the alien delegation, their expressions, if they could be called that, difficult to read. Evelyn pressed on, her tone firm but measured. "We know you came here because you saw us as a threat, and maybe we are. But that's because we're not afraid to fight for our survival. What we're asking for now isn't submission. It's collaboration, a chance to prove that we can be allies, not enemies." Zolter regarded her for a long moment, his piercing gaze unyielding. "Your words carry weight, General," he said finally. "But words alone are not enough. The Union does not act on sentiment. We require assurance that your species will not misuse the knowledge we grant." "Assurance is a two-way street," Evelyn replied. "We need to know the Union won't treat us as expendable pawns. Trust isn't given freely, it's built. And it starts here." The chamber fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. One of Evelyn's scientists, Dr. Elena Vargas, leaned forward, her voice cutting through the quiet. "We've already begun reverse engineering some of your technology," she said. "It's not perfect, but it's progress. If we can achieve that under wartime conditions, imagine what we could do with open cooperation." One of the alien delegates, a being composed of shifting crystalline fragments, turned its faceted head toward Vargas. "You believe your species capable of contributing meaningfully to the Union's vast knowledge." Vargas met its gaze without hesitation. "Absolutely. And not just through technology. We've proven our resilience, our creativity, and our ability to adapt. Those aren't just survival traits. They're strengths that can benefit the Union as a whole." Zolter raised a hand, silencing the murmurs among his delegation. "Your confidence is commendable, Doctor, but confidence does not erase risk. The Union's primary concern remains. How do we ensure your species does not become a destabilizing force?" Evelyn leaned forward, her eyes locking onto Zolter's. "You can't," she said bluntly, "just as we can't ensure the Union won't turn on us. That's the reality of trust. It comes with risk. But you've seen what we're capable of, Commander. You know we don't take commitments lightly. If we say we'll stand by our agreements, we mean it. The room grew quiet again, the two sides measuring each other in the silence. Finally, Zalter spoke. "Very well," he said. "The Union will consider your proposal. But understand this. Should humanity violate the terms of any agreement, the response will be swift and uncompromising." "We wouldn't expect anything less," Evelyn replied. With that, the meeting adjourned, the delegates retreating to their respective corners to deliberate. Evelyn and her team returned to their ship, the weight of the encounter pressing heavily on their shoulders. As the vessel disengaged from the station, drifting back toward Earth, Evelyn stood at the observation window, staring out at the stars. "This is just the beginning," Vargas said quietly, joining her. "I know," Evelyn replied, her voice tinged with both hope and caution. "We've bought ourselves a chance, but it's a fragile one. The galaxy won't wait for us to catch up. We'll have to earn our place every step of the way." Back on the Aurelian Spear, Zalter watched the human vessel disappear into the void. Despite his reservations, he couldn't deny the spark of curiosity and perhaps a touch of respect that lingered in his thoughts. Humanity had survived the Union's might. Now, they faced a far greater challenge, proving they belonged among the stars. The fragile peace held, but its foundations remained precarious. Both sides knew the balance could shift with a single misstep. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, there was also a glimmer of possibility, a future where enemies might become allies, and the stars would no longer be a place of fear, but of shared destiny.